wanna start my day with love. That's what I get more of, is love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. I choose love, love, love. Love, love, love. I choose it, love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. I choose peace, 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 peace. Peace, peace, peace. I feel it, peace, 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 peace. I choose peace, 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 peace. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I choose joy, joy, joy. I feel it, joy, joy, joy. Every day it's joy, joy, joy. I'm choosing joy, joy, joy. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day with love. I start my day with peace. I start my day with joy, and I feel that sweet release. I start my day.
Good morning. Good morning, Celebration Center for Spiritual Living, and welcome to our Sunday service this morning. My name is Reverend Chris Ashley. If you don't know who I am, I'm the senior minister here at Celebration Center, and I am so glad that you're joining us from wherever you are joining us. So, if you don't mind, if you're here this morning watching, say hi in the chat. Let us know that you're here. We would love to hear your thoughts and your comments throughout the service. It's one of the perks perks of being all virtual is that we get to know what y'all are up to and what y'all's thoughts are. So say hi in the chat if you are joining us here this morning. We have an incredible service planned this morning. I'm super excited about it. I am going to be speaking on the topic of prove it. And we have Reverend Ryan Pulley as our guest practitioner on platform this morning. And so they will be bringing us a beautiful quote and prayer in a little while. And finally, we have one of my favorite musicians, Jessie Powers, who is going to be our guest musician this morning. She is a conscious indie pop performer and one of my nearest and dearest friends. I absolutely adore her and all of her music. It's profound, it's soulful, it's well done. She lights up every single room that she comes into. I'm so excited to have her here joining us. And if you love what you hear this morning, which you will because she's amazing, she is going to be joining us in person later on in just a few months this spring and offering a concert to us as well. And so there will be more opportunities to get more of Jessie Powers. She's on Spotify. Her website is jessiepowersmusic.com. So I'm so excited to have her here joining us today. I do have just a couple of announcements today. We started our spiritual living circle coping with grief this past Saturday, yesterday, from 11 to 12:30. This is going to run for 12 weeks. We do 6 weeks of coping with grief and then 6 weeks of emerging from grief. So you have one more week to join. If you weren't able to make it this past Saturday, but this is something that interests you, you can still sign up. Please make sure to do so no later than Wednesday so that we can get you the recording of last week. You can get all caught up, hear what our agreements are, see what it's all about and everything like that. You can go to our website, celebrationcenter.org, to get more information and register for that support circle that is going to be running for the next 12 weeks. And that is it. That is all that I have for announcements. The Power of 8 study group and healing circle is ending. However, it's going to be continuing as one of our recurring events moving forward. And so stay tuned. We'll be giving you more information of when that's going to happen. And you can drop into that anytime. You don't have to go every week. You can go every week or just occasionally, as much or as little as you want. And it has been a profound group that I'm super excited that will be continued as a permanent addition to all of the great events that we offer here at Celebration Center. And so, without further ado, I invite you to say our vision along with me. This is how we remember what direction we are all headed in together. We are celebrating spirit within and knowing the oneness of humanity. Yes, we are. And so now I would like to invite Jessie Powers for an opening song.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be with you guys. We're going to celebrate being alive today. Let's go. By the way, I just want to say, you guys are so lucky to have Rev Chris Ashley. She's so amazing. All right. As soon as you grab it, as soon as you get it, sing along at home. Don't be shy. Here we go. I woke up this morning joyful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning joyful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. Do it again. I woke up this morning joyful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. One more time. I woke up this morning joyful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. Here we go. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. I love saying those words. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. Feeling grateful. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. Think of something you're grateful for. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. Put some funk into it. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. 'Cause I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. The best thing. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. Do it again. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. Say it like you mean it. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. Okay. One of the benefits of things being online right now is, you know, that feeling that you get when you're in service and someone asks you to like sing a chant or like get up and move and you're like, I don't think so. I'm too shy. Now, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to be shy. You're the only one there, okay? So we're gonna get playful, and I encourage you to get as silly as possible because the universe, at its basis, is playful. Here we go. I woke up this morning playful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I sleep. I woke up this morning playful as can be. That's how I spend my day and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning playful as can be. Wow! That's how I spend my day and that's how I sleep. Meow! Meow, 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 meow. Meow, meow, meow. 'Cause I love being alive. Get weird with it. It's the greatest thing about my life. Oh, I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. I hope you guys got silly with that.
So if you're not awake, after that, I don't know what. But that was great, Jesse. Thank you. And so welcome again to the Celebration Center for Spiritual Living. And so if you're joining us for the first time or the 101st time, we are so grateful you're here. And we'd love to get to know you. So say hi in the chat and let us know where you're tuning in from. So the Celebration Center for Spiritual Living is a community that teaches, practices, and celebrates the science of mind. And so we believe in the transformational power of affirmative prayer. And so within our community, we have practitioners who have undertaken this journey of spiritual growth and study and have dedicated themselves to holding the consciousness and knowing the truth in any situation. And so they're available for prayer and one-on-one spiritual guidance sessions. So you can visit the website for more information about that. And so as practitioners, we would love to pray with you. And there are a couple of different ways that we can do that. One is for you to send us an email at prayer@celebrationcenter.org. And the other is to visit our website at celebrationcenter.org and click on the request affirmative prayer. These prayers go to our ministry of prayer on Monday, as well as our practitioners and minister who pray on them throughout the week. So it's a lovely way to get support in that area. So our reading from today is from Ernest Holmes from The Science of Mind. And so Ernest says, one of the greatest difficulties in the new order of thought is that we are likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice. As a matter of fact, we only know as much as we can prove by actual demonstration. That which we cannot prove may or may not be true, but that which we can prove certainly must be and is the truth. Of course, the theory of any scientific principle goes beyond its application, and at any given stage of the unfoldment of that principle and the evolution of its accomplishments. If this were not true, there would be no progress in any science. The sciences are objectively real to us only insofar as we demonstrate them, and until demonstrated, they are suppositional as far as practical results are concerned. If there is any field of research where the practical application is necessary, it is in the metaphysical field. The reason being that the principle of metaphysics seems less tangible to the average person than does the principle of other sciences. And so taking these words, let's turn within just for a moment as we say a prayer of affirmation on our time. Breathing in and out. Settling and quieting our minds in this present moment, arriving right now. We are aware that there is one power and presence that is back of all things. It is the source of all that is. It is that stabilizing presence that gives us strength, gives us courage, gives us the ability to live each and every day. And so what I know is that we are connected to this presence. It is the very essence of who and what we are. It is not something that is far off from us or far removed from our ability to experience, but instead lives within us, moves, breathes, dances, laughs, experiences this life as us. And so from this space of connection, from this space of knowing, I speak a word on our time today. Knowing that this presence unfolds in our lives, in each and every person, no matter where we are, no matter where we're standing or sitting or listening or watching. Knowing that this presence is activated in our lives, not only in a way that we understand, but a way that we actually can live. And as we take this understanding from our head into our actual life, we actually prove the principles. We prove the presence in very real and active ways, that we move from this one-dimensional understanding of this power and presence to this really 3D activating, actualizing hands and feet in our everyday lives. And so I am so grateful. I am grateful for this community. I'm grateful for the support that it provides, not only to its members, but to the world. I'm grateful for the guidance that's provided by its leaders and the powerful presence, the beacon of light that this community is, not only in this physical location of Virginia, but to the world. And so I release these words into the law that only says yes. You know, and even now that these words that we've spoken, the beliefs and intentions behind these words are being manifest in this moment. And so we let them go, knowing that they are so. And so it is.
We can change the world if we want to. We can change it all if we want. Say with me, we can be 6 feet apart. We'll bow our heads and honor that which is greater than we are. Take the pain inside your heart and give it to the light. Together we're better, so let yourself remember that tonight. Because we can change the world if we want to. We can change it all if we want. We can change the world if we want to. We can change it all if we want. It isn't mine to ever know the answer to it all. But what I do know is we must go where we are called. Everything is screaming out, honey, it's all inside. Begin with me within and see the peace that we ignite. Stillness is the way. Stillness is the way. Stillness is the way. Stillness is the way. We're gonna breathe in, gonna breathe out. That's about all that we can do right now. Baby, it's not ours to figure out today. Gonna be here, gonna be now. Peace of mind is gonna find us somehow. And I know that stillness is the way. 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 Oh, stillness, stillness, stillness is the way. Oh, stillness, stillness, stillness is the way. Oh, the way. Stillness is the way. Stillness is the way. Stillness is the way. And we can change the world if we want to.
Absolutely beautiful, Jesse. Thank you so much. I'm sure it's quite easy for all of y'all who are listening to see why I love Jessie and her music so much. So be sure to stay tuned for when she will be here to give us a full concert, a couple hours of just her and her music. Oh, so today we are talking about prove it. Prove it. And it's it's funny because Rev Ryan also spoke on this topic for their ministry, Soul Evolution Collaborative, and it's going to air at 12:30. You can go watch it on their website, but they do Stripped on Sundays, and so all week long they have been wandering the house going, prove me now, and talking to our dog B, prove me now, B. And so now whenever I hear prove it, I just hear in Ryan's voice from all over the house, prove me now, B. and yet, you know, it's interesting because this idea of proving these principles and these practices that we talk about, I feel like sometimes it gets a little lost in translation for us. And so, you know, like Ernest said in that quote that Rev Ryan just read, is we tend to focus way more on the thinking aspects of this teaching rather than the action aspects. And we think that we're, you know, Ernest Holmes, our founder, was incredibly eclectic, and he studied all of the masters of all of the world religions and philosophers, and he was constantly gaining knowledge and bringing in all of this information and and kind of bringing it into himself and then molding it. And so we think that being super heady in this teaching is actually what Ernest Holmes was doing. But that's not quite accurate. Yes, he did tons of reading and gathering of information and assimilating it, but he called our teaching the science of mind and spirit. And the reason that he did that, the word that I want to hone in on today, is that word science. He used that word science so intentionally because he knew that to be scientific meant to go beyond just the reading and the learning and the book knowledge and to truly step into proving these principles, proving these teachings, proving what all of the major world religions have been saying, that love is at the heart and that oneness is the key, and all of these things that we teach and we believe. And so he called us science of mind and spirit because it is up to us to prove that these teachings are real and that they actually work into our lives. So, science. The Science Council defines science as the pursuit and application of knowledge and understanding of the natural and social world following a systematic methodology based on evidence. There are a ton of words in there, so we're going to pull it apart just a little bit. But science is the pursuit and application, there's the key, of knowledge and understanding of the world. So it's not just a pursuit of knowledge, it is also the application of the knowledge that we gain. And this is following a systematic methodology based on evidence. So if we take this idea of having a systematic methodology based on evidence into our own lives when we're talking about science of mind principles, what does that mean? It means that we can take these principles, apply them methodically into our lives, and then watch the evidence pile up, that these teachings are provable, that they are evidence-based, that we can prove that the law works, that truly our system of beliefs is informing and co-creating our reality. We can prove it by systematically applying these principles. And I really do. I think we get a little lost in that. Ernest Holmes, in his sermon by the sea at Asilomar, one of the final sermons that he gave, he said, "Find me 1,000 people in the world who know what religious science is and use it and live it as it is, and I'll myself live to see a new world, a new heaven, and a new earth here." So religious science, if you don't know, is just another word for science of mind. And it's actually one of the other things that Ernest called it. And so what he is saying is that it would take such a few people to take these principles and actually apply them into every single aspect of our lives. And it's one of the things that I loved about this teaching when I first got into it, there was so much to learn, right? There are so many profound metaphysical teachers and so many books and so many centers and so many people and teachers and all of these things and all of this information and knowledge that we can gather. And I just remember when I first got into New Thought teachings, both here and in Unity, that I love that sort of knowledge and that study, and I just dove headfirst in to all of the teachings. And I could tell you anything that you wanted to know about these teachings. I could tell you, who said what and who founded what and what all of our principles are and, how you could apply them. I was very good at telling you how you could apply them into your life to make it better. And all of the little, I could even use these principles to manifest these tiny little things like, chocolate chip cookies when I was really craving them, or the parking space that we always talk about, that we can manifest these front row parking spaces and things like that. And yet, that knowledge didn't actually really get me really super far as making my life work in this profound sort of way that encompassed every single aspect of my life. There were still a lot of my areas of my life that were quite messy, right? This was in my late teens, early 20s. And it wasn't until I got really rigorous about taking these principles and doing the hard work of applying them into areas of my life that I had been avoiding or turning away from, or just pretending weren't a problem. It wasn't until I turned and I looked at those areas head on and I started to apply these principles into those areas that it began to infuse in my life in such a way that my life actually began to shift and prove that these principles really do work. And they don't just work with princes, parking spaces, and palaces. That's what we call it. They don't just work to manifest things, right? Like the parking space or the new car or the new house or the partner or whatever it may be, that these principles actually work to inform and direct every single aspect of our lives, and that anything that is going on, anything, no matter how dismal it may look, that those are the places that we can begin to infuse these principles and see that they truly do work. And we can do this scientifically. That's another thing that I really love about this teaching. It's kind of one of those double-edged swords. I love it, and it can be a little iffy, is that it is so scientific and it is so methodical. We don't have to have some grandiose experience of the cosmos to be able to apply these principles. Now, those grandiose experiences are wonderful, those peak moments, and I think that they keep us going and they keep us motivated. And yet we can just methodically apply the principles. And as we do so, we begin to see every day that our life gets just a little bit better. And I think that this can be really hard. I do, because what I found as I began to clean up sort of those messy areas of my life is that before they got easier, before I could see the principles really going to work, they got messier. And so I think a lot of times what ends up happening is that we begin to apply these principles into these harder areas, into these things that we haven't looked at in months, years, decades, lifetimes, right? And we begin to clean it up, and before it can be clean, we have to truly observe where we are, and we have to work our way through the mess. And so I think a lot of times what happens, and this happens with me, is that I would get started on something, and then I would get overwhelmed, or I'd get frustrated, or I would get just super upset at where I was, and so I would, I'm gonna just continue to turn away from that because that is really messy and I don't want to look at it. And then we say, oh well, these principles, they don't actually work because my finances are still really messy, or my relationship is in shambles, or whatever it may be, right? Because we don't allow ourselves the time to get through the mess. My mentor, I was meeting with her a couple of weeks ago, and she gave me a new phrase that is another one of those love-hate relationships. She said, embrace the suck. Embrace the suck. And I think that that's what we get to do when we begin to stop turning away in such a way that we are putting on blinders and pretending that our problems don't exist. And instead, we turn towards them and we choose to actively look at everything that's going on in our lives and infuse these principles into every single aspect and area, that we get to embrace the suck. And it sucks. It does. And that's okay, because we get to trust, because we've already proven these principles, right? We've already proven them with the parking spaces and the new car and the new house and the this and the that and the little tiny manifestations that we have over and over. Wow, look at that divine synchronicity. We've already proven these teachings. And so it is at those moments when it looks like everything is falling apart that we get to step in and have that faith and trust that because we've already proven it, we know that this is a science, and we know that we are methodically, evidence-based, putting these systems into place in our life. We get to continue, push through, embracing the messy parts so that we can move through to the other side and find the brilliance that is available to us when we put these principles into practice in every single area of our life. And so, Valerie Carr says in See No Stranger, we become what we practice. And I'm sure you've heard practice makes perfect, right? Practice makes perfect. And so we get to practice. And the other thing about embracing the suck and understanding that when we begin to look at these areas that we've been avoiding or maybe choosing not to look at, that it's going to get messier for a minute, is that we get to keep practicing. And the thing about practicing is that it's not always going to be perfect. You may or may not know that I was a music major in college. And I was actually a theory composition major with a minor in clarinet. And I played all kinds of different instruments in middle school and high school and college. I played the clarinet and the bass clarinet. I played the saxophone. I even picked up the oboe for a while, although speaking of not practicing perfectly, my mother made me practice that on the front porch because she couldn't handle it in the house. She said I sounded like a dying duck. And I think I was in 7th grade, so I'm pretty sure that I did sound like a dying duck. And we lived in a valley, and so it would just echo off of the mountains all the way down the valley. I'm sure my neighbors loved my 7th grade year of school. Anyways, I played all kinds of things. I started playing piano in 2nd grade, and so music was my life for many, 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 many years. And when I went to college and all of a sudden music really could be my life because I was a music major, right? And so I was expected to practice my instruments for hours and hours and hours and hours every single week. And we had these practice rooms, and I practiced all the time. I was probably a little bit obsessive about it, I'm not gonna lie. And the thing was, I always heard perfect practice makes perfect. And the idea behind that was that if you practice something wrong over and over and over again, it's gonna be wrong at the end of that practice, right? And I do agree with that in some ways, but I don't think that that translates into what we're talking about, that this practice makes perfect. Because when we can't do it wrong when we're talking about science of mind principles. And so what happens is just practice. Just practice. And when something happens that's a mistake or that you don't get the outcome that you expect it to get, it's okay. Use that as that same information. That's the beauty of science, is that we take a hypothesis, we take something that we think will happen, we put it into practice, and we get something back. And when the scientific community gets something back that they weren't expecting, they don't get mad or upset about that, but rather they use that as information to create a new hypothesis and try again. And so that's what we're doing as we practice. And so practice makes perfect. And if we get it wrong, we go, well, that didn't work. Let's try something different. And then we put it in, and it comes out, and it's wrong again, and we go, oh, well, that didn't work. Let's try something different, right? We've all heard the story that it took Thomas Edison 10,000 wrong light bulbs to create a light bulb that actually worked, right? And so we just keep practicing. We just keep practicing. And when something goes wrong and everything falls apart and it looks even messier than the messy that we thought it was going to look like, we don't beat ourselves up or make ourselves wrong or throw the whole teaching out, but rather we go, okay, well, we had a hypothesis. We put it into the scientific method that we know works, and we didn't get back what we thought. So where is it? Where was the disconnect? Is it in my system of beliefs? Is it in the way that I applied it? Is it in the action that I took? Is it in the spiritual practice? Where is it? And if we can't figure it out on our own, we ask for help. We go talk to a minister or a practitioner, and we get some prayer, we get some spiritual mind treatment, and we try again. And we don't make ourselves wrong. Just like when somebody else makes a mistake, we have gentleness, we have forgiveness, we have compassion and empathy. We bring that to ourselves as well. And so we just keep practicing these scientific principles that we know are true. And as we do so, what we begin to notice is step by step, piece by piece, our lives look better and better and better and more like what we expected our lives to look like. And sometimes this happens in little teeny tiny baby steps, and we don't even really notice that it's happening until we look back and we go, oh my God, my whole life is different than how it was a year ago or 5 years ago. And sometimes it's this quantum leap, and all of a sudden it's a 180 and our whole lives look different from how they did yesterday or 6 months ago. And neither of these is right or wrong. They're both just individualized expressions of spirits moving through us as we put these principles into practice. And so this year, we're going to be talking about this idea of engaged spirituality. So I've been talking about, our global theme for this year is living everyday wonder. And we are going to be so this month was Living Everyday Wonder, and then every other month for the next 11 months, it is a specific aspect of life, and then how we can apply these principles into that aspect of life to truly utilize these teachings to the best of our abilities, right? And so we're going to be taking that one step even further in our community, because we are this beloved community, right? And we're going to be talking about this idea of engaged spirituality. So I am going to be using the book, Engaged Spirituality, 10 Lives of Contemplation and Action by Janet W. Parishin. And you're welcome to read the book if you would like. If not, I will be summarizing it for you. But this follows 10 spiritual beings who truly engage their spirituality and put it into action in unique ways. And then talks about what they did with their lives. This term, engaged spirituality, comes from Thich Nhat Hanh, who recently made his transition, and he called it engaged Buddhism because he was a Buddhist. But it's the same idea, and it's basically engaging the world in creative and life-affirming ways. And so in this book, Engaged Spirituality, what Janet says is, engaged spirituality is demonstrated by all those persons who find within their faith tradition the resources that nurture their being and enable them to engage in activities that move the world towards peace, justice, greater compassion, and wholeness. At the same time, persons dedicated to and engaged spirituality find that their involvement in social causes and actions to transform the world inevitably leads them back to those nurturing resources. And so it becomes this beautiful cycle, this beautiful back and forth of as we engage our spirituality out into the world in this greater way, and then as we engage our spirituality and infuse it into all of these different aspects of our lives, then all of those areas reach back and feed us and become this nurturing resource. And all of a sudden we have this beautiful flow of us feeding the world and the world feeding us, and every aspect of our life feeding us as we feed every aspect of our life. And so we're going to be looking together at this idea of engaged spirituality this year. Dag Hammarskjöld said, "In our era, the road to holiness necessarily passes through the world of action." And I have to say that here at Celebration Center, we are so perfectly poised to step into action and engage our spirituality into every single area of life, whatever area is called to each of us individually and then collectively together as a center, because science of mind is such a profound teaching that it just simply calls us to this idea of engaged spirituality, and it calls us to this action, and it calls us to rise up and have lives that are worth living, whatever that means to us, knowing that that is individualized for each and every one of us. And so I'm so excited about this idea of engaged spirituality, because I truly believe that we have a teaching that not only supports us in creating the best lives ever, but it supports us in supporting others in also creating those lives. And as we do this, as we engage our teachings and engage our principles and utilize them out into the world, as we do that, we are truly creating a world that works for everyone. And that is what we are all about here. And so I am just so excited to step out on this journey of proving it with you and as us, as a community, because that is what we are doing here. We are proving these teachings in every single moment of our lives. And so I invite you on this journey with me. I invite you to look at the areas of your life that perhaps you haven't been looking at. Perhaps they could use a little bit of engagement. Perhaps they're a little messy. I invite you to embrace the suck with me and to step into truly taking these principles and infusing them into every single moment and aspect of your life. I invite you to come on this journey with me. And so, before we go to prayer, I have a question for you, and I would love for you to put your answers in the chat throughout, starting, now after I ask the question, and then throughout Jesse's next song, and we'll read them out as we've been doing. This is our version of Tell Us while we're here virtual. And that is, what would engaged spirituality in 2022 look like for you? Or what does engaged spirituality look like for you? What area, and you can answer any or all of these or some, form of it, but what area of your life are you most excited to engage with in this idea of engaged spirituality? What area of your life are you most excited to prove these teachings and these principles in? These are my questions for you, and so I invite you to put your answers into the chat. And let us go to prayer. So as you think about it, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Because what I know is that this teaching works. What I know is that these principles work. And so therefore I know oneness. I know that there is only that one infinite, absolute, eternal presence, that one thing that is going on. That one thing that we call by so many names. We call it God, we call it Allah, we call it Abba, we call it spirits, we call it divine, we call it the universe, we call it essence, presence, consciousness. We call it by all of these names, and yet we simply know it as that thing that is all of the things. This one thing that is showing up as the individualized expression of each and every one of us here on this planet. We are expressing the highest, grandest idea of what our lives could look like in our teaching, in our world. And so I just know and affirm that each and every one of us are stepping out on this journey of engaged spirituality, that each and every one of us are infusing these teachings into every single aspect of our lives, and that each and every one of us are choosing to step up and show up and truly create a world that works for everyone. And I am so grateful for this beloved community. I am so grateful for these teachings. I am so grateful for these principles, and I am so grateful for the science where I can simply put it in to what I know to be true and watch what comes out, knowing that what comes out is principle. It is in alignment with the truth. I am so grateful for this community that says yes to engaging themselves and their spirituality in everything that we do. I am so grateful. And so I simply release my word. I know that it is done as I have spoken. I surrender to all that this year is to be, knowing that it is the grandest expression of 2022 possible, as we say together, and so it is. And so, once again, what does engaged spirituality look like to you, and what area of your life are you most excited to put these principles into practice as we invite Jesse back for another song?
Thank you so much, Rev. That was so good. This song's called Something Better. And it's about that engaged spirituality and using trust and knowing, letting go, surrendering, and really actually doing it. By the way, I love all the comments. This is inspired by Lynn, who says she's excited to be more positive through positive thought. Here we go. Sometimes it feels like my heart is stuck in a revolving door. It can get me down so much I don't even want to mess with it anymore. That too familiar feeling, oh, I know it well, but I don't let it get too far. No, I'm too good at staying cool now. Yes, I am learning the art, and I'm getting good at letting go, yeah. Getting good at giving it over, 'cause I know it ain't in my hands. Oh, I'm getting good at letting go, yeah. Getting good at giving it over, 'cause I know, though I do not understand, my soul's always got something better planned. Ooh, this or something better, right? Trust in the universe and letting go when the shadow comes creeping in, like a thief from my past. I turn on the light by remembering only my soul knows my path. And I'm getting good at letting go, yeah. Getting good at giving it over, 'cause I know it ain't in my hands. So I'm getting getting good at letting go, yeah. Getting good at giving it over, 'cause I know, though I do not understand, my soul has always got something better planned, and I am unburdened. Yes, I am free when I believe. Yeah, putting those practices into action. If I just keep trusting, if I keep the faith, I know I'll see. When I let go, and I know when I let go, and I know that my soul's always God. Yes, my soul's always God. Oh, my soul's always God. Something better planned. Yeah. Something better is coming along. I'm gonna use the tools I learned, and I'm gonna practice trusting the universe, knowing that something better is coming along. Even if that thing I thought was gonna work out and it didn't work out, it's okay, 'cause something better is gonna work out for me. Work out for me. Something better, something better. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Something better is working out. Yes. So, what does engaged spirituality look like to you in 2022? Harrison Snow says, embrace what sucks with eyes open with love. I love that, Harrison. With eyes open with love. Lynn M., welcome here for the first time. She says, excited to be more positive through positive thoughts, like through cognitive behavioral therapy and using tools from science of mind and Catholicism. Miriam says, I aim to trust that all of us, no matter how different our worldview might be, is divine and perfect, just the way we all are. Yes, everyone is divine and perfect. Brent says, I would like to engage the principles in my career. Yes, Brent, yes. Beth Carmen says 2 areas of focus. Number 1 is her thoughts, words, and actions are in harmony with my core desires. And number 2, being open to both new relationships and improving those I already have. Lynn says, CBT helps me create a world that is positive. So grateful, and so much like spirituality too. I love that this teaching embraces everything, all of the spiritual practices. Terry says, engaging difficult people in love. Yes, Terry, yes. We call those extra grace required, EGRs. Oh, Jen Fay, our practitioner, says her engaged spirituality is expressed through the power of 8 healing circle and in her deepening trust that the spiritual truth is being revealed powerfully and irresistibly in the world. I like that. Spiritual truth is irresistible. And Tim says, we walk through the storm, the darkness, and we find light. You can't go around it. You have to go through it. So you might as well embrace it. Yes, thank you everyone for what your views of engaged spirituality are and all of the areas of focus that we are going to be infusing our science of mind principles into, and all of these areas are touched on throughout the next 11 months in one month or the other. So it's going to be an amazing, incredible year together. And so this is the time in our service for our gifts and our offerings, and just knowing that your very presence, even at home, even virtually, even if you haven't said anything in the chat and you're just watching along, that your very presence is a gift to this community, that you are showing up with your authenticity, your focus, your attention, and your love, and we are so appreciative of it. We are also a tithing community. We give 10% of everything that comes in out to our community community and out to our parent organization, Centers for Spiritual Living. And we believe in the power of tithing and of giving. And so if you have an offering or a tithe to give today, we invite you to go to celebrationcenter.org/donate, or just celebrationcenter.org and then click on the give button. Both of those will take you to our Secure Breeze website where you can enter your donation in. It also gives you information of how to mail in a check or money order any other way. And we are so grateful for all of the gifts that you bring to our center. And so I invite you to just bring in all that you are, all that you bring to your heart as we say our offertory affirmation together. I open my heart to give and receive the blessings that our spirits promise to me. As I do, the entire universe conspires to give me an abundant life, and I open to accept it. And so it is. And now we have a blessing from Rev Ryan.
So sitting in this moment of abundance, just taking a moment to breathe in. Knowing that the gifts that are given are received with gratitude, knowing that these gifts fund, fuel, support this center, and knowing that through these gifts that this center moves from that just knowing about principle to actually living it and showing it and demonstrating it, not only in this community, but in the world around us. And so we bless these gifts. We bless the energy behind them. We bless the reciprocal nature of the universe and how it is manifested through our gifts, through the in and through the out. And we just recognize the beauty of that abundance. And we bless these gifts. And so it is.
All right, guys. So we're going to leave with a banger. And this one is to seal in that engaged spirituality, to know that you can go out into the world and be a warrior of light and belief and testing out all your hypotheses. It's called Warrior. This is where I rap. Something's mistaking me, it's taking me for a fool. Constantly accusing me of being fake, like I'm some criminal, but it's subliminal. I can't remember though how I got in this flow of negativity that's keeping me from being free. But I know that it's all me, I'm the beauty and the beast, and my thoughts are the lock and my heart's the key. Society almost succeeded in bleeding me out, but I see the reality of the light and I'm ready for the fight now. I'm made of light and my weapon is the truth. Demons inside, don't bother hiding, now I'm after you. Found the truth in this music, spitting rhymes so smooth it forged the sword for this battle warrior. I am the warrior, I am the chief. I never turn and run when darkness comes for me. And love, the demons may try to break me with the straight face, the lies. I am the warrior and I will always rise. Hey, 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 yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the battle's won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the battle's won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the battle's won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the battle's won. I am the warrior, I am the chief. I never turn and run when darkness comes for me, 'cause I'm engaged. And though the demons may try to bring me with the straight face and lies, I am the warrior and I will always rise. Hey, 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 yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah. Just to clarify, I'm spiritually engaged, okay? I'm not actually engaged. And that was more for everyone, like we're all engaged spiritually, as warriors, as guardians of our souls. And in that spirit, I'd like to say that part of this teaching is that what resists persists, right? What we resist persists. So I like to change the words of this song. Instead of saying, the battle has won, I'm not going to stop till the battle's won. It's not really accurate, right? Because we don't battle our negativity. We sit with it and we love it. And that's our weapon, is love. So I'm going to do that part one more time, just for this. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not going to stop until the love has won. And wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not going to stop until the love has won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not going to stop until the love has won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not going to stop until the love has won. I am the warrior, I am the chief. I never turn and run when darkness comes for me. And allow the demons may try to bring me with the straight face lies. I am the warrior and I will always rise. Hey, 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 yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah. Ooh. All right, here's your part you can do at home. Okay, this last little bit here. Just repeat after me. Okay, here we go. I am the warrior. I am the warrior. I am the chief. I never turn and run. I never turn and run when darkness comes for me. When darkness comes for me. One more time. I am the warrior. Warrior, I am the chief. I am the chief, right? I never turn and run. I never turn and run when darkness comes for me. I can hear you in my head. I am the warrior and I will always rise. I am the warrior and I will always rise. Say it with me. I am the warrior and I will always rise. I am the warrior and I will always rise. I hope that made you feel super empowered.
Yes, it made me feel empowered, that's for sure. Thank you so much, Jessie, and thank you for being here. And so now I would like to invite everyone to join us for our Zoom community time happening right now as soon as this live stream ends. I am dropping the link into the chat right now, or you can go to celebrationcenter.org and just click on Enter Zoom Events and join us to talk more about engaged spirituality, to say hi to one another, and to just be together and have some community time. And we welcome you if you're here for the very first time, or if you've been here for the last 36 years. And so with that, I just send all of us out into the world, engaging in our spirituality in such a way that we do truly rise up in love with love and see everything as love, as we infuse these principles into every single aspect of our lives. And so it is.